Ken Jennings has admitted he's never liked the contestant interview segment of Jeopardy. The 74-time champion-turned-host ruled the long-standing portion of the game show cringy in a new interview. Speaking to The New Yorker, the Jeopardy! Co-host shared his thoughts on the back-and-forth that comes before the double Jeopardy round. "Yeah, I never liked that part," Ken, 48, bluntly said. "It's a little cringy. And, even if the players tell an amazing anecdote perfectly, I mean, that's just not the time for it. Why is this happening now? Like when they interrupt a football game for Jennifer Lopez or to salute the troops or whatever. Like, why is this happening now?" He continued, "I don't think Alex Trebek loved the interviews, either. I think he was kind of ready to get back in the game. It's a lot of pressure for those poor people, who are already pretty stressed out. Now they have to be interesting and funny." Speaking as the GOAT contestant who still holds the record for most wins ever, and I have nothing but sympathy for them, because I did not have 75 good stories. I didn't have 3 good stories. Every time I had to fly to LA, from Utah, to do more shows, I'd get a call from the contestant coordinator, "Hey, just in case you tape 10 new shows, can you give us 20 new stories?" Fans on Reddit also debated if Ken was onto something in an internet forum, even if the palate cleanser has lent pathos to players for decades, and not every contestant exactly has to do 75 of them. One fan reacted, "I agree with the anecdotes part. Every day I choose between skipping or cringing for the first 2 or 3 questions after the game resumes." Another wrote, "I will occasionally get a champion who I like hearing talk, and I will watch their anecdotes, but in general I skip it. Exception, I didn't skip the segment at all during the Masters tournament, as the banter there was fun and far less awkward than usual." A third wrote, "Maybe the interview can be done at the beginning of the game, not in the middle, which can screw up the flow." Other fans voiced how contestants who may not audition given fears of public speaking may do so if the interview segment were optional. Ken wrapped the thrilling Jeopardy! Masters special, which was won by James Holzhauer. Underdog Mateo Roach, 24, came in a close second last month, and fans loved watching Ken hold court with the super champions, of which he is one, during the interviews, given they're more comfortable than new players. This comes as longtime producer Sarah Whitcomb-Foss and former champion Buzzy Cohen recently discussed the value of the contestant anecdotes as well. Buzzy said on the podcast Inside Jeopardy, "It's not my favorite part of the show. I get it, and it is fun, and it's great to get to know the contestants," Buzzy confined. "Here's what I'm going to say. It definitely feels like it's a little bit of a relic of a bygone game show era. And, does it fit in with the new executive producer and Masters creator, Michael Davies' Jeopardy? Is a sport ethos, is my question." Sarah Foss argued that the segment, which has been there since day one, allows the hosts and viewers to connect with the contestants. "I get that, but I love nostalgia," she said. "I think there's something to be said for keeping some things the same. That's the glory of Jeopardy! 61 clues and responses, and a little anecdote in between." Buzzy replied, "I'm not suggesting we get rid of it. The point is I'm relating to Lisa." The insiders were referring to 2-day champ Lisa Sriken, who called the staple segment excruciating after losing in March. "That was the hard part. It wasn't a trivia part. I knew the trivia, but that was difficult." As a result, the segment became a talking point with fans. Mayim Bialik, who is Ken's co-successor to the late, great Alex, is finishing out the regular season until the summer. Ken won't be seen until the 2023 Tournament of Champions, which will kick off season 40 in September, barring the last week of season 39. In a candid and insightful interview, Jeopardy! Legend Ken Jennings sat down to discuss his long history with the iconic quiz show and revealed some surprising details about a segment that he's never been fond of. Known for his record-breaking 74-game winning streak and current role as co-host, Jennings didn't hold back as he reflected on the quirky, often unnoticed aspects of Jeopardy! That have stood out to him over the years. "The show has always been a well-oiled machine," Jennings began, with his trademark humility. "The format, the consistency, it's what keeps fans coming back. But there's one part of the show I've never liked, even as a contestant." He leaned forward slightly, as though the weight of this particular confession was one he had carried for quite some time. The contestant interview segment, it's cringy, awkward, and just. I've always thought it didn't belong. This revelation from one of the most beloved Jeopardy figures was unexpected. The interview segment, where the host asks contestants a personal question or prompts them to share a fun fact about themselves, has been a staple of the show for decades. It's often viewed as a light-hearted break from the intense trivia competition, giving viewers a glimpse into the lives of the contestants beyond their intellect. But for Jennings, this break in the show's rhythm has always felt off. "I understand why it's there," Jennings acknowledged, nodding as if to soften the blow for any die-hard fans of the segment. "You want to humanize the contestants, show they're not just trivia machines. But I just found it really awkward as a contestant, and even now, as a host, I'm still not a fan." He chuckled, reminiscing on his early days when he was just another contestant vying for a chance to make a mark on the game. "I remember trying to come up with something fun or interesting to share during the interviews. You'd be sitting there, racking your brain for that one unique story, but most of the time, people come up with things that just don't land. I've shared a few duds myself." Jennings laughed, but it was clear that even his humor couldn't fully mask his distaste for the segment. Jennings' criticism of the interview segment likely strikes a chord with many longtime viewers who have cringed along with some of the more awkward or unexciting anecdotes. He gave an example of one such moment. There was a contestant who once talked about their love for collecting spoons. "I mean, it's quirky and interesting, but the delivery was so uncomfortable. The poor guy just didn't seem to want to talk about it either, which made it 10 times worse." The champion went on to reveal how much pressure contestants feel when it comes to these interviews. "You've got so much on your mind. You're thinking about categories, daily doubles, your buzzer technique, and then you're supposed to deliver this funny or heartfelt story. It's a lot, and sometimes it feels out of place." As a host, Jennings admitted the segment doesn't get any easier. "It's tricky, as the host, to navigate. You don't want to put anyone on the spot or make them feel uncomfortable. But the truth is, it's a hit-or-miss part of the show. Some contestants nail it and give you a great story.